We are starting out here today because I have peaches that need to get processed. They have been sitting in the garage, however, and they are covered with fruit flies. So I do not want to bring them inside to wash them. So we're going to wash them out here first. Basically, all I'm going to do is rinse this guy out and fill it with water. Make sure it's cold. And while that's happening, put the peaches in. I'm gonna take off the labels as well. These are semi-local. I believe they're from Wyoming. And I got them last Thursday. They were rock solid when I got them. But I think I might have waited a little too long for some of these. So I'm definitely going to be losing some, which is unfortunate, but I did eat one yesterday and it was so good. Oh my goodness. So sweet and juicy. So they are perfectly ripe right now. It's probably enough water. They aren't unfortunately organic, but I'm not super concerned about that. Yeah, this one's a little looking not good, but I think I can still cut pieces off and save the rest. I'm gonna go grab a knife really quick to cut off these pieces that I think I can save some of the fruit still. Yeah, I'm not gonna try and save those. All right, I'm not thinking I'm gonna be able to carry these all myself, so now I'm gonna go grab a couple of bowls and we'll start putting these in bowls and bringing them in. Right now I have a pot of water on to boil and I'm going to just make a little cross, you probably can't see that, on the bottom of the peaches that don't have big pieces out of them, and drop them in this hot water for a couple of minutes so I can get them peeled. And the boxes were each 22 pounds. And I gave Mom a handful, I think like 13, so maybe 2-3 pounds. So we are working with a lot of peaches here. And they are very early this year. The last 2 years, I've gotten them from the same place both years, all 3 years now. Gosh, have I done this 3 years now? Maybe just 2. I can't remember. Anyway, Yeah, 3. So the place that I've gotten them from for the last 3 years, usually we pick them up in the end of September, like the last week of September. And this year we picked them up the last week of August. So definitely much earlier than they have been in the past. We had a pretty warm spring and have had a nice hot summer. So I think that that probably is part of the reason why. All right, so I'm just gonna let these go for, I don't know, 2 minutes or so, another 2 minutes, and then I will pull them out and get them into cold water because I don't want to cook them. I just want to loosen their skins. Just like so. The less ripe ones will take a little more time, but these are pretty ripe at this point, so. This is a completely tedious and annoying job, but it's gotta be done. All canning recipes for peaches require that they be peeled. And honestly, I'm not sure if that's a safety thing or if it's more of a texture thing. You might be fine to leave peels on. I personally don't like peach peels all that much, so that's why I prefer nectarines actually. Also, I just think, well, nectarines have a different flavor, but I would peel my peaches regardless. Although I did have the thought that for peaches, like for jam and things that they're just going to be all smushed up, that we could cut them up and then just put them through a food mill. And then I wouldn't have to do this. But these are coming off really easy this year. So some years they just don't want to come off for any reason whatsoever. And then I just want to kill somebody. Myself, because I ordered 44 pounds of peaches. Oh, need to pay attention here. So the recipes that we're going to be making, one of them is going to be a peach salsa, and it recommends using peaches that are slightly underripe. So I am going to separate out the ones that are a little more firm. Oh, these are just peeling beautifully. This is the best year yet. However, Mom did say, because she's already eaten her peaches and done stuff with them, that while they are supposed to be freestone, which means that the flesh doesn't stick to the pit, about half of hers were not that. So that will be a little, make things a little more difficult, but that's all right. We have ways around that as well. So I am just going to continue this process until they're all done. And when we come back, we will talk about the rest of the recipes that we are going to be making and doing with these. We have them all peeled, and I am eating one, and it is delicious, and it was indeed a freestone. Hopefully the rest of them are that. They're so juicy. So, what's next? we do need to pit them all. But as I'm pitting them, I'm also going to cut them up. So I need to figure out how much I need for each of my recipes, how much of each recipe I'm going to make, and we can go from there. So let me go grab my cookbooks and we'll start there. I had to run out to the garden because I didn't have the ingredients I needed. So I need some rosemary because we are going to make a peach rosemary jam. And I needed some more spicy peppers for the, do I need it for the, no, for the peach salsa. And I also needed some sweet peppers for the peach salsa. And while I was out there, I also grabbed the eggs. So let's put those away really quick. So I think, why don't we get started on the peach rosemary, well, no, let's get started on the barbecue sauce because that's going to have to cook down for a bit. Yeah. So this is called Zesty Peach Barbecue Sauce. It is from the Ball Complete Book of Home Preservation. So this is a tested recipe. And we need 6 cups of pitted peeled peaches for this one. And it makes 8 half-pint jars. Since I've never tried this recipe before, I'm just gonna make a single recipe of it. So that's 6 cups there. Our peach salsa also needs 6 cups. I'm thinking that I might do 2 recipes of this. This also makes 8 8-ounce jars. No, I'll just make 1 recipe of that. The peach rosemary jam requires 2.5 pounds of fresh peaches that then 4 cups. Okay. Once it's coarsely chopped and mashed, you want 4 cups of the crushed peaches for this. So 12 plus 4 is 16. So 16 cups for these recipes. These were the peaches that were more on the firm side. So, okay. Perfect. So these are going to be the ones that I use for the salsa. This also recommends putting the vinegar in the saucepan so that as I put the peaches in, I can mix it in and it will stop some of the browning, which is 1/2 cup. That is not a freestone. That is our first 6 cups. Thinking I might change my mind here and do a second recipe of that, but let's get our barbecue sauce ones going here. For our barbecue sauce, we need 3/4 cup of cider vinegar. I switched pots because I think I am going to do a second batch of the peach salsa. So I will need a bigger pot for that. All right, then we also need honey, onion, garlic, bell pepper, Worcestershire sauce. All right, so let's get the honey in there. We need 1 1/4 cups of honey. I am going to clean off my counter a little bit here so I can chop up onions and garlic because I will need it for both the barbecue sauce and the peach salsa. So for the salsa, it actually does call for red onion, so this is perfect. You can absolutely substitute onions, and like if a recipe calls for peppers, you can substitute any kind of pepper for each other, just not the quantity. Anyway, so if I'm gonna make 2 batches, I will need 2 1/2 cups, so I might have to add some white onion as well. I peeled a bunch of garlic yesterday for a different project that I had not gotten to yet. I'm going to use it for this. For those of you that are new to my channel, welcome. I appreciate you coming and watching. And you will find, if you watch more of my videos, that I often start projects in the evening, and they end up going either very late or into multiple days. And this is because I have a full-time job, and so often I can't start projects until evening at the absolute earliest. So I have a feeling this is going to be one of those projects. It is probably going to span a couple of days. All right, so we need 3 tablespoons. I might still have to peel more garlic. The other project that was going to use this garlic doesn't have things that will go bad like peaches if it waits, so. The salsa recipe only calls for 1 clove for each recipe, so I think a tablespoon is going to be plenty. My bell peppers did not do very well. Actually, none of my peppers have done particularly well this year. So this is my one and only decently sized bell pepper. So I might have to use frozen from last year because last year's bell peppers did quite well. Actually, I think I'm going to use these fresh bell peppers for the salsa, because it would be nice to have them still have some bite to them, and my frozen ones will not so much. For the salsa, it doesn't call for a specific amount, it just calls for 1 red bell pepper per recipe. So I feel like what I'm putting in here will be perfect. The other one does, however, call specifically for a cup. This is not quite a cup, but I am going to put some spicy peppers in here as well that are not called for. So we'll make up the rest of the cup with those. In fact, let's just add them now. Perfect. So that ended up being about a half cup of regular bell pepper and a half cup of jalapeno. But let's get all of this out of here. All right, so we do need still a few more ingredients here, but I'm going to go ahead and get the heat on this going. Need 2 teaspoons of dried mustard. Just gonna put the rest of that in there. And a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. And 2 teaspoons of salt. It also does call for red pepper flakes. I'm not going to add them since I put in the jalapenos. We like spicy, but I would like to also be able to eat it. David could eat pretty much any spicy thing, but I would also like to be able to eat it. I don't have quite the tolerance that he does. All right, so we're gonna let this cook for about 25 minutes. Bring it to a boil and then boil gently until it is thickened to the consistency of a thin commercial barbecue sauce, about 25 minutes. All right, so let's go back to our salsa here. We have put in the vinegar, the peaches, the onions. We've put the red pepper and the garlic. So we need to add the jalapenos, cilantro, which I also don't have, cumin, cayenne pepper, and honey. This calls for 4 jalapenos, which I do not have, but I do have a couple of serranos, which are spicier than jalapenos, so we should still maintain plenty of heat. Now we're done slicing up peppers. All right, I just realized that we need to chop up another 6 cups of peaches for our salsa and put another half cup of vinegar in there too. All right, I have the other 6 cups of peaches in here and half cup of vinegar. I think I need 4 tablespoons of honey. Yes. And then we need 3 teaspoons of ground cumin. This looks beautiful. So the only thing that we are missing is cilantro. And I think since I'm missing it, and it's 8 o'clock now, I'm going to get the jam ready. Maybe I'll wait for tomorrow for the jam too. I have it all, the jam all measured, the peaches all measured out for the jam. So maybe I will just put some lemon juice in that and also put that away for tonight so that I can run to the store and get some cilantro for the salsa. And then we will can all of this stuff tomorrow. And in the meantime, I am going to, I will finish boiling cooking the barbecue sauce down as well and run the immersion blender through it so that that's basically all we have to do is rewarm it up tomorrow to can it. And then I do want to get the rest of these peaches sliced, diced up, and either in the freezer or in the dehydrator tonight. So those are my goals for the rest of this evening. So like I said, for our peaches for our jam, I'm just going to add the lemon juice that is called for, which is just a 1/4 cup. And then this, I'll cover this and it can also go in the fridge. Try not to burn ourselves. I'm going to let this keep cooking down though, because it's not quite there. Pretty close. Actually, let's give it a little taste test here too. It's going to be super hot. Oh, that's good. It does need a little more salt. But, oh, yeah, that's great flavor. It actually is not very spicy, so I think I am going to add the cayenne that was called for. I've decided that I'm actually going to freeze dry most of this that I have sliced up. I did run across quite a few not Freestone peaches, and those I just squished off of the pit, and so I have 4 quarts of just plain peach puree. So I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do with that. For tonight, I'm probably just going to refrigerate it. But I missed a little piece of pit. I did put lemon juice on all of these peaches, so hopefully they will stay mostly nice and bright. And they should, especially going into the freeze dryer. And I'm guessing I'm going to fill up all 8 of my trays. I will be pre-freezing these so they won't go into the freeze dryer until tomorrow. Well, and I can only put 4 trays in at a time, so this will be in a couple of batches, which is totally fine. And now my kitchen is an utter disaster. All right, I'm going to carry this load out first, and then I will come back for the rest, put everything else in the fridge, and wash a whole bunch of bowls that are in my sink. I will see you tomorrow. I have stocked up on jars and cilantro, although I don't think that we are going to get to the salsa tonight. But I do want to get to the jam and the barbecue sauce, get them actually in and canning. So getting the jars warmed up and the water warmed up, and I'm just reheating the barbecue sauce, so it's pretty much ready to go, but we do have to make the jam. This is nice and preheated. I think our jars are technically not quite done, but they are close enough. You just don't want them to be cold when you're putting something hot in them and then putting them into the water. We want to leave a 1/2 inch headspace for these guys. And I did misspeak yesterday when I said I was going to add in cayenne. That is actually for the salsa. This one called for red pepper flakes, which I did add in. And it's nice and spicy now. Spicy, vinegary, sweet. It's perfect. Well, I guess we are going to have a full canner load of this, so we are going to have to wait on the jam as well. All right, just want to wipe the rims of these jars. They are all brand new, so I'm not terribly concerned that there is a chip or crack in the rim, but this is a good chance to check for that as well, because that definitely would make a jar not seal, as well as having sticky things or grease or anything like that. Granted, there's no grease in this recipe, but if you were, you just want to make sure it's all nicely cleaned off. I think I got this one, but... All right, lids are on fingertip tight, and we are just going to, I left one in there, plop them into the canner and get them going. Once this starts boiling, we will, well, the machine here will set a timer for 25 minutes, and when that 25 minutes is up, they will be done. Normally this recipe, if you are at 1,000 feet or below, is only a 15-minute processing time, but I have to add 10 minutes because we are at 5,000 feet. All right, so I'm going to wait till this is done, then we will do the jam because we don't want to put it in the jars and then have the jars sit here and wait for this. So we will just have to wait until this is done. I did go ahead and put the peaches in the pan with the sprigs of fresh rosemary that are called for. I am also going to add red pepper flakes to this one. And once again, this is a tested recipe, but you can, and normally you don't want to mess with any of the ingredients, but you can always add dried spices. and change the amounts of that you use. So I'm going to add some red pepper flakes. And I'm just gonna let this cook a little bit so I can soften up the fruit. And I will probably run the immersion blender through this. I'm also going to be using Pomona's Pectin for the first time, which is a pectin that you can use significantly less amounts of sugar and you don't have to worry about it setting. And you can even use liquid sweeteners like honey or monk fruit or any other kind of liquid sweetener, and your jam will still set. And so what it uses is it does use a powdered pectin. That's, I guess, just a normal type of pectin? I'm not sure. Let's see. Yeah, so this is what it says. Makes thick jam and jelly with rich, full flavor, undiluted by large amounts of added sugar. Regular fruit pectin requires your jam or jelly be 55 to 85% sugar to set firmly. Pomona's is pure citrus pectin with no dextrose or preservatives. Its gelling power is activated by the calcium, not the sugar content. So they provide this little packet of powdered calcium and you mix it with water and you add this and the pectin and again, whatever type of sweetener you want to use, and just follow the recipes. So let's see. Yeah, just bring to a full boil and stir vigorously for 1 to 2 minutes. For peaches, nectarines, we do 4 cups of mashed fruit, which is what we have. We put in the 1/4 cup of lemon juice, and then we're gonna add either 1/2 to 1 cup of honey or 3/4 cup to 2 cups of sugar, 3 teaspoons of pectin, and 4 teaspoons of calcium water. I am going to add the sugar, and we are going to go ahead and do 2 cups. The recipe that uses regular pectin actually calls for 5 cups. So this will be significantly less sugar. All right, we are just gonna let this, like I said, simmer on low until our other is done. And I believe it has started counting down. Yes, it has. You can see that it is boiling, and it has started counting down from 25 minutes. Our barbecue sauce is done. I'm gonna just open the lid. I'm gonna let these sit here for about 10 minutes and just let the water cool down a little tiny bit before I take them out. And in the meantime, we can get going on our jam. I'm gonna turn that off for a second while I get my immersion blender going here. And the direcciones. So prepare the fruit, measure the fruit, lemon juice in the pan, add the proper amount of calcium water, stir well, measure in the sugar, bring to a full boil. Oh, and then the pectin. Okay, so calcium first, then pectin, no, then sugar, then pectin. So we need 4 teaspoons of the calcium water. And clearly we are not going to use all of this calcium water, if I can even get it open. But you can just store this in the fridge and use it the next time you need it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 cups of sugar. Oh, I just totally did that wrong. I was supposed to mix the pectin into the sugar first. Well, we were supposed to bring it to a full boil before we added the sugar and the pectin. Well, I might have just ruined this. I'm going to Take another half cup of sugar and add the pectin to it, which we need 3 teaspoons. And hopefully I haven't totally screwed this up. 1, 2, 3. All right, we are at a full rolling boil. So we are going to add the rest of that sugar and pectin and cross our fingers. Well, it looks like it is setting, so that's good. You can see the skin already forming on the top, so hopefully that means we're okay. And this one we only want a 1/4 inch headspace. When I told Mom about making this jam, she gave me a very skeptical look because of the rosemary. So, but I'm thinking that this will be used for like marinades or glazes for meats like pork chops or chicken. I think that sounds really tasty. And this one is going to have to go in the fridge because it is not full enough. And this is definitely setting, so I think we are fine. And we didn't ruin anything. Oh, that's really hot. Oh my goodness. All right, this one needs to go for 20 minutes, and I feel like we should taste this and see what we think. Ooh, yeah, that's got some burn to it. The rosemary is just really faintly a flavor in there. I mean, it's definitely a flavor, but it is not overwhelming, which is what I was a little concerned about, and probably what my mom is thinking it's going to taste like. But just adds a really nice savory flavor to it. So this one, I'm gonna let it cool, but it will go in the fridge. This is what our barbecue sauce is looking like. The lighting isn't super good in here right now for some reason, but it's actually very pretty. So those are all out. Our jam is going. Salsa will be tomorrow. We are going to finish these peaches tonight if it kills me. So cilantro, we really only have the peach salsa left to do, but I do have 4 quarts of peach puree or peach pulp basically, and I think I'm just going to freeze it because I don't know what I want to do with it right now. I'll probably end up making some kind of a jam out of it, but for now I don't know what I'm going to do, so I am just going to freeze it in some, I guess, plastic bags, Ziploc bags. Anyway, but right now let's get our salsa done. And we just need a cup of this, loosely packed, it said. So give it a chop here. I do have our first batch of peaches in the freeze dryer, but it is still going. The nice thing is that because this has been sitting now for a day, 2 days actually, I guess, in the fridge, all its flavors should be really nicely melded together, so we'll get a really good idea of what it tastes like before we can it. You may notice I also have tomatoes over here. I also have 2 trays in the oven, so finally getting those going as well for another batch of marinara sauce. All right, so we're just going to let this come to a simmer and simmer for, I think, 15 minutes. Oh, 5 minutes. And then we will just ladle into our jars and get them canning. This is such a gorgeous color. My goodness. Our jam also is done and fully set. I'm not sure if you can tell that it is not moving at all, so I did not screw it up. If you do what I did, just make sure that you add some sugar to your pectin before you add it in, because what it does is it ends up clumping really badly and doesn't dissolve into your jam when it's not mixed with sugar. We're gonna try our peach salsa. Wow, that's spicy. Will definitely mellow as it sits, but ooh, really good flavor though. Peaches are so sweet and juicy and peachy. Yum. And this is ready to go. Let's get our jars out. Oh, it smells so good. And we want a 1/2 inch headspace for these guys. Got a couple of these a little too full. We are going to debubble these since this is pretty chunky. Just want to make sure there aren't any big air pockets in there anywhere. And then the usual. And this is going to go for 25 minutes. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to put, no, I'll just put the lid on this and leave it on the stove and let it reheat when this one is done. Last but not least, we have our peach puree, pulp, whatever you want to call it. This was from the peaches that were not the Freestone, so I literally just squished the pulp off of the pits, and I ended up with 4 quarts of it. So I think we're just going to do 4 1-quart bags, which is 4 cups, which is what jam is. So I did put some lemon juice in this to help preserve the color a bit more. that just in time. Only a little spillage. I guess these are gallon bags, not quart bags, aren't they? That's all right. We will just lay them out flat on this guy here. So when we go to use them, they will thaw nice and quickly. A little more air out of this guy. Into the freezer, these go.